Hey guys, Q here with Tales from the Crypt Keeper, the animated series, Season 1, Episode 1. And there is going to be spoilers, guys. I'm going to try not to put too many, but there's going to be some. It basically starts off here with the Crypt Keeper. He is basically burnt out and going on vacation, and he doesn't know where he wants to go. He's thinking of going to different places, and it's pretty funny the names he says. For instance, one of them is Shreveport, New Island, or Rhode Island, sorry. There's New York City, You Sicken Me National Park, and there's a few others, and it's pretty funny. And as the taxi driver honks the horn, you end up hearing the Crypt Keeper looking up at the screen basically and saying, well, I guess I'll make the taxi driver wait a little bit as I tell you this one tale. And the tale is called While the Cat's Away. And it's a pretty interesting one. It is done by Manny Koto, who has worked on Dr. Giggles in '92. Now, basically, it starts off here. You see a young boy on a bicycle, and he's in full bicycle gear type thing, helmet, gloves, pads, whatnot. And it turns out that it's only a kid's imagination, because it ends up zooming out and you see a kid holding a picture of a boy on a bike. And it kind of zooms out more and you see him on his bike next to his younger brother. The older boy, he's staring at the picture, and the younger boy is staring through the window of the bike store at the bike itself. And they really want this bike. They really do. So they decide to go over to ask their father if he might be able to help them get the bike. So they decide to go over to their father's store, which happens to be a travel agency, and he is a very sleazy travel agent. They show inside when the boys get there that there's a woman who is kind of rich, and she's undecided on where to go, and the father tries to swindle her the best he can, and she doesn't buy it, so she ends up leaving. As she ends up leaving, she bumps into the two boys, and the boys end up asking the father if he might be able to help them try to get this bike that they want. And the father replies, if business keeps going the way it is, I'm going to have to ask you boys for an allowance. And I thought that was pretty, wow. Either way, guys, as the older boy, who is, I believe, Stu, and the younger boy is Dwight. I should have mentioned that already. I do apologize. They about to ask the father even more about trying to get the bike, and as they're about to open their mouth type thing, the phone rings. So the father rushes over to the phone. He answers the phone, and it's someone wanting to go to Transylvania. And the older boy, overhearing this, kind of has a grin on his face and an idea, drags his younger brother out of this store, and the younger brother's like, what are you doing? I thought we were going to ask Dad for getting the bike, He's like, well, I have a better idea. Since this guy's going and leaving to Transylvania, why don't we break into his house and try to find something valuable enough, and then we'll sell it and buy our own bikes. The younger brother did not want to do it at first, and he was very hesitant, and the older brother kind of got him thinking, wouldn't you like to drive your own bike, and got him really into doing it. So they end up taking off and going over to the house of the person that's getting ready to leave to go to Transylvania. Once they get closer to the place, they notice that it is an old Gothic looking house, broken fence gate type thing, dirt little road going up to the doorway, broken windows, and dead trees all around the place. So they're kind of worried about what's going on as they're getting closer. As they get to the front door, they realize on the front door there's this knocker that looks really like some kind of Dracula head or whatnot, and it kind of makes them gasp at it. And eventually the older brother, he just knocks on the door with the knocker, and the door swings wide open. Bats end up flying out at them, kind of freaking them out, which actually makes them run inside for some reason. I would figure I'd run away from the place, but they ran inside the place and slammed the door shut. Once inside, they turn around and realize that the house that they're in doesn't look very valuable at all. It is very old, dusty, cobwebs everywhere. Doesn't look like it's been used in years. There's coverings over the furniture. All kinds of just, it doesn't look like it's been used or anybody's been living there for many years. So they decide to explore the house. They see there's a stairway leading upstairs, so they decide to go follow that staircase. And as they're going upstairs, the older brother's leading first, and it's a two-way staircase, so it goes up in the middle and it kind of splits like this. And they decide to go towards the left side type thing, and I'm pretty sure that's the wrong side on what I'm doing here, but either way, they go to the left side. And as the elder brother's going up the steps more, there's a big picture on the middle landing before you go up to either side of the steps, and the picture ends up coming like a ghostly figure comes out of the poster, the picture, and tries to slice, it's a Civil War picture with a nice Civil War sword, and he tries to slice Stu, the younger brother. And he just freaks out the younger brother so much, the younger brother runs up the steps, stumbling into his older brother, and they tumble into what looks like a library. And the older brother's like, what the hell is your problem? He starts freaking out on his brother. The brother's like, there's a ghost after me, Dwight, you know, like Stu, he's going to kill me or whatnot. And either way, what happens is that the older brother's like, well, look at the room we're in. It looks like a library or something. Maybe there's a switch, a hidden switch somewhere. Pull out a book. We might be able to find something here. So they start looking around the room. The older brother, he ends up touching a little switch that he doesn't realize, and it makes a empty armor's halberd come down and almost kill his younger brother. And his younger brother just trips out completely and runs into a bookcase, knocking over some books, which also opens up a bit of the bookcase. And peering up to see what moved, the younger brother sees these red eyes peering back at him. The older brother, wanting to know what the hell the noise was, ran over to his younger brother and seen that he opened up the bookcase, and he was like, hey, way to go, you know, you're starting to do something good. And he's like, I'm going to just reach into that dark spot there and see what's in there. And the young boy starts freaking out because he saw the red eyes. And once the older brother gets closer to the hole, he ends up putting his arm into the hole, freaking the younger brother out. He's screaming his ass off. He's worried about his brother. And the brother starts screaming as well, scaring his brother even more, and ends up pulling out his arm with a parchment of paper. He opens up that parchment of paper and realizes there is an X on this paper, and he starts being so happy and giddy because he's like, yes, there's a map, there's an X on the map, you know what that means? And the boy's like, an exit? The younger brother, he's like, no, it means treasure. We gotta find the treasure, man. So they start, the older brother goes over to the desk and he opens up the parchment and he's looking at it more, and the younger brother's searching around the place, and he ends up coming across this bookshelf that spins the younger brother into a next room, and the younger brother's kind of freaked out about this, where the older brother, I believe his name is Dwight, he ends up getting dragged back in the chair that he's in, and they kind of like slam him into this turning wall, and he's in another room. So now they're showing the younger brother. He is walking off to through the tunnel, like a little room, and it's, I guess, it's kind of weird because it's just a little tiny little room with a door, so I guess a secret room to lead to this bookcase. And he ends up exiting this room, and he's peering behind corners and stuff to make sure that there's nothing going to jump out and attack him. And of course, as he thinks he's in the clear, a hand reaches out and grabs his shoulder, making him jump up and grab onto this wooden border around the walls. And it turns out that the hand that grabbed him belongs to his brother. And his brother's like, "Can you get down from there? You know, stop being a baby." And tells him, "I'm glad I found you, but we got to continue on, try to find this treasure. We got to get these bikes, So the younger brother gets down. They continue on their way, and they meet. They come up to a staircase, a stone staircase. So they start walking down the stone staircase, and they hear some creaking. And the younger brother starts freaking out. He's like, "Why is there creaking going on? I do not understand this." The older brother's like, "It's the stairs, man. Stairs creak." He's like, "Not stone steps, Dwight. Come on, man." So either way, I thought that was kind of creepy a little bit. They end up continuing down the stairs, and at the very bottom is just a basic landing and a dog dish. And the dog dish has Fifi written across it. So they're like, who would leave a dog down here named Fifi? What is it, a poodle, a small dog or something? They see a chain leading into a hole in a wall where they're guessing the dog is, and they bring the bowl closer to the hole, and they see these eyes peering out at them, and then what jumps out at them from the hole is a werewolf, and freaks out the boys. They run into a door that's right behind them. They quickly close the door, and the werewolf starts smashing at the door, breaking the door down a bit. You see pieces of wood just flying off, and the boys freak out. And there's like a little hole in the ground in the room that they're in. I'm pretty sure it's for like old mortuary places. And either way, they jump down that hole and land on something that's covered on a white sheet. And they decide to move the white sheet to see what's under that, and turns out to be Frankenstein, guys. Freaks out the boys. The boys rush over to the other side of the room, where, of course, the younger brother ends up hitting the switch with his elbow and making Frankenstein come to life. And Frankenstein starts kind of chasing the boys around. They cowered in this room, in the part of this room, and this tank, you see this tank there with like ooze, and a tentacle pops out and grabs the older brother's picture of the bike that he was holding at the very beginning of the show, and just brings the picture into the ooze with itself. The older brother starts freaking out, "Hey, that's my bike," and he runs over to the creature's tank, which my personal opinion, I'd be like, take the picture, I can get another picture. Either way, the tentacles grab the older brother, put him in the tank with him in the ooze. The younger brother's freaking out now at this point. He's like, "Oh no, my brother's like dead. I got Frankenstein after me. I'm next. I'm going to be dead too. Nobody knows where we are." And they're getting chased. Something fierce. So now the creature, the tentacle creature, for some reason throws the older brother out of the tank, and the younger brother runs over to him to see if he's okay. At that point, Frankenstein picks up the tank and that the tentacle creature's in with the ooze and tosses it at the boys, and they kind of move right out the way, and it smashes a hole into the wall. So they end up sliding on the ooze through the hole in the wall, and it leads them to another room where they can so either way, they end up running over into this other door that they end up seeing down the hall that they just ended up sliding into, and they quickly close the door. And what's behind them? Nothing but coffins. And right away, of course, a coffin opens up and there's a vampire. And then another coffin opens up, and then another, and another, And by the time it's done, there's like 8 vampires there. They all turn into bats and start chasing these boys. The boys run out of that room and they start running into a tunnel-like area again, which ends up separating them because there's like 2 different tunnels. So they don't realize it yet. One boy runs left, the other boy runs right, and now they're separated. One's being chased by the werewolf, one's being chased by Frankenstein, and finally they kind of catch their breath a bit, and there's nothing chasing them. And of course, in front of them, they see a shadow, and they start calling out for their brother. And as they get closer, the shadow turns out to either be the werewolf or Frankenstein, which kind of freaks out the boys even more. The boys end up running past these creatures and back together. They end up in this tunnel. From there, they end up finally escaping the creatures, and they think they are free. They're like, yes, we are done. So they're like, you know what? We're actually close to the X on this map. The older boy starts flipping out. He's like, yeah, we are friggin' close, man. So they start exploring more of the house now that the creatures aren't chasing them. And they come to a dead end of the house. Now, it basically looks like a brick wall room type thing with a dirt floor. And in the far back of this room, there's a hole in the ground, and you can see a bit of a treasure chest, the top of a treasure chest. Dwight starts freaking out like, yes, I knew there was treasure here. Runs over, grabs the treasure box, opens up the treasure box, and what's inside? A comic book. And not just any comic book, guys. A Tales from the Crypt comic book titled While the Cat's Away. And who's on the cover? The boys. And zombies. And they're like, zombies? Why are we on the cover with zombies? I didn't see no zombies. You see zombies? And just then, zombies start popping up out of the ground, guys, coming after these boys. They start flipping out again. They end up backing up into a wall, which turns them around into the very first part of the house of where they entered. And basically on the side part, so like say the stairs are here, they exit it here, you know, so now they can run out the front door. And as they're about to as they open the front door and are about to run out, they come face to face with the Crypt Keeper himself, smiling away at the boys. And the boys run right past him. The younger boy gets on the bike, and the older brother goes to follow, but then turns around, comes back to the Crypt Keeper, hands him the picture of the bike, tells the Crypt Keeper, you can keep this, turns around and gets on his bike, and the both brothers take off. Now, the Crypt Keeper looks at the picture and laughs his ass off. After that, that's basically the end of this story. It shows the Crypt Keeper coming back from vacation. He says a bit more things, and that's basically the end of this episode, guys. So, I hope you guys did enjoy this. I know it's a little dark. I did it for a reason. Hope you liked the atmosphere that I put in here. That's what I was trying to go for. And yeah, please let me know what you liked about this video down below. Have you ever seen this episode before? Let me know. Alright guys, thanks for watching. You all take care. Ciao.